Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am finally ready to do tutorials. So in this video, I'm going to start with a puff sleeve tutorial, which I think can be a very challenging thing to make, but I've gained a lot of experiences since the tops and dresses that I make mostly have puff sleeves. So I hope you find this video very helpful. To be honest, I never buy pattern papers. I always cut whatever paper is available. So I've already designed my own pattern for this one. So this is a natural sleeve pattern. It's not for a gathered sleeve, and I'm going to show you how to cut a sleeve for a gathered dress. So the first thing you're gonna do is to fold your fabric. So for the gathers, I want it to be very gathered, but not too much because I'm trying to save fabric. So I'm just gonna add 10 more centimeters to create the gathers. I'm sure you're wondering why my pattern is folded. I want my sleeves to be a bit short, so I folded it. It depends on how long your sleeve is going to be. So the length of your sleeve should be from your armpit all the way to however you want. This is the armpit. So for my sleeve, it's going to be 10 centimeters from my armpit. So every single time you measure a sleeve, always make sure that you measure from the armpit all the way to the length of your choice. You don't measure from up here because this is where it's gonna go over your shoulders. I hope you don't mind the noise. I don't want to make a voiceover. I want this video to be a bit more friendly, and I feel like a voiceover can be detached. So I'm just gonna make pins to make sure that I have secured my pattern to the fabric because we are going to start cutting soon. So what I'm gonna do is just put the ruler here. Normally I don't. I'm just gonna straight line it, but for you guys' sake, just draw it all the way down, all the way to the end. Use a pencil or something that is washable so that it can be washable, okay? So we're also gonna draw another one here. We're gonna make a seam allowance. So a seam allowance is that space that's going to allow you to sew through your dress. I like to make it 1 centimeter because I'm stingy with the fabric. And I'm also sewing this dress for myself, so I don't have to make it 1.5 centimeters like I usually do if I'm sewing something for a customer, because I always have this fear of what if it does not fit them and I have to fix it. And we're gonna just do it around the pattern. Tell me if you ever want pattern drafting lessons. I'm very generous lately. I want to teach you guys how to sew so we can go crazy together. So I'm just gonna use a ruler to, guys, I'm not a straight liner, okay? It's so bad, but it always comes out real nice. So this, we're just gonna assume it's also 1 centimeter, this space around, and we're gonna start cutting. Naturally, you're also just gonna follow up and line this area. This is your sleeve. Now I'm just gonna trace back and make the second sleeve. So I'm just gonna position the sleeve that I just cut on the new fabric, and I'm gonna put pins on it, attach it to the folded fabric so I can trace the new cut sleeve. Now we're gonna do the hemming of the sleeve. This is what puts together the sleeves and make the gathers basically. So I'm going to cut it, and as we've measured together, it is 30 centimeter. I don't think my measurements is particularly 30 centimeters, but I like to be safe. And remember what we spoke about seam allowance. This is where it's going to apply. Since it is 30, we add 1 centimeter to each side for seam allowance. And I like for the hemming of my sleeves to be a bit thick, moderately thick, not too thick but also not thin. It gives it that princessy feel. So I'm gonna make it 3 centimeters. This is going to be a folded hemming, so we're gonna multiply that 3 centimeter and make it 6. And because we also have to make seam allowance, we'll make seam allowance for each folded part to be 1 centimeter, 1 centimeters, which is gonna add up to 8 centimeters. I'm also going to make 8 this side. We're gonna cut down this hemming. So these are the 2 finished hemmings of the dress. So now we're going to cut the last part of this puzzle piece sleeve, which is the bow tie that's gonna come on the sleeves. We're just gonna decorate it with a bow tie. It's going to be so pretty. And I only have one small piece of fabric that is left, so I'm left with only having to make each bow to be 7.5 in length before I even fold it, but it's okay. We're gonna work with what we have. I don't mind that. I'm also gonna make it about 63 centimeters long. This is also just me winging it. I really didn't want to wing anything for this video because I want to make it as simple as possible. But sometimes you gotta work with what you've got, hey? And that's how I've learned how to sew. I always had to work with what I've got, and I think it's so much in my nature to just like wing it one way or another. One of the biggest things that I always speak about is turning straw into gold. This is a saying that I just started coming up with after I've read too many Rumpelstiltskin retellings. I also watched the Rumpelstiltskin retelling in this show called Once Upon a Time. I wouldn't recommend it now. I no longer watch anything fantasy because I feel like the whole Disney princess magic situation, that is some sort of sorcery that I don't want to get myself involved with. Like even watching it, eye gates and stuff. Like TV is literally training us since we were kids to accept sorcery. We've cut this portion. I'm gonna fold it and I'm just gonna wing it again and cut through, and we're gonna have 2 pieces and each piece is going to become a bow. Mind you, we're still going to fold this. The bow is most likely to be this size, and that's before we even cut off the seam allowance. I'm just gonna cut off the phrase. So we're done cutting now. So we're gonna start sewing, yay! So we're working on the bows first. I just like tying all the loose ends before when I start with a new project. I'm basically folding it and then pinning it together, and then on the sewing machine it goes. Oh my goodness! Your knee peak ready in case you make a mistake. This fashion designer chair is for the humble ones. You're never too good to make a mistake, okay? As you've seen, I've pinned this together. I'm gonna sew through this, and then I'm gonna use a pin, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do with this pin. It's finished as straight as it can possibly be. These things, they come off, which eventually they will come off and disrupt this. So but I don't have an overlock, so I'm just gonna get a zigzag stitch and I'm gonna sew through this just to secure it. Okay, so you guys can see that this is the hemmed part, but what I'm gonna do now is to turn it inwards, turn it backwards, whatever. But I'm gonna put in this thing and I'm just gonna shove it in here, and we're gonna keep pushing it in and pulling. This is the situation. I've turned it inwards. Now the goal is to iron it and then fold it. But before we do that, I'm going to fix in this situation. What I like to do, you can do it differently, but what I like to do with this part, I just fold it inwards, just shove everything in there. It doesn't even have to be straight, okay? You just like trying to make do here. And then I'm just gonna sew in. I like to sew with a small zigzag stitch so that nothing escapes and it captures everything. Mom hates it, but that's what I do. So I'm done with these strings. I even ironed them. So we're moving into the next phase, which is creating the gathers for the sleeves. This particular step is the most tedious and also the reason why I decided to do this tutorial. There's a little trick that my mom taught me for those whose sewing machines cannot create gathers. So this is what you do. You thread like a very long needle thread, like it's very long enough for it to give you like a headache. And then what you're going to do is you're gonna start threading right at almost at the tip of the bottom half. As you can see, this is the bottom of the sleeve, this is the top of the sleeve. We are going to thread it. Gonna thread right at the bottom. Just keep going and not lose patience. Okay, now you're just gonna start like pulling through up until the end. Okay, so now we have done that. We have threaded all the way up until the end. So I'm going to cut this fabric and I'm going to do it all over again. We are going to do a second line of these gathers. This is just to make your gathers look neat. You always do 2 lines of gathers. So I don't know how others do it, but for me it's almost like there's a 1 centimeter or less than a centimeter space. You just skip that space and you start doing it all over again, and you start threading your second line almost as if you're skipping that invisible 1 centimeter space in between the other line. As you can see, there is a space. Don't worry if it's not straight, it doesn't matter, it's not gonna make any difference. So imagine if I am making like a super puffy full-on gathered dress for a client and they wonder why it is expensive to make these dresses. It's not only the machine that does the work. It's not always sometimes that you might find that yes, it's true that the fabric is a bit more cheaper, but the labor is hard. Alright, so that part is done. Let me show you. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm filming at night. Now I want to show you the second part of the tutorial. I want you to see like this portion of the dress. I'm sure you guys can see it. So we are going to create gathers there, because also on the shoulders this dress does have gathers. I'm sure you've seen on the thumbnail. So I'm going to start right here. I've mentioned it during the cutting process. This is the armpit part, but it goes all the way up. When it goes all the way up, it's trying to accommodate the shoulders. So right in the mid of this area, I'm just gonna start my threading. Again, we are gonna do at the edging of the edgiest part. Just gonna keep threading. And you will see what, if you don't see what it looks like, don't worry, you will see what it looks like. You can rewind and do it again. I'm trying to do this in the most teachable way I possibly can. I hope I'm doing a good job, because this is my first tutorial and I really want to make sure that I'm teaching something that is learnable and I'm explaining things well. I don't like misteaching people. I want you to learn and be able to and feel proud of yourself for learning something new, you know. I don't want to teach you something that is in a way that is not learnable and then you can't learn it and you just feel a bit down. I want to make this as easy as possible. Even though I'm not a teacher, I'm trying. Okay, now we're gonna start pulling. Okay, I forgot to film the other part, but as you saw, I also did a second line thread, 1 centimeter space, just like the bottom, and this is what it looks like when I put it down. I hope you can see. I should have used a brighter color so that it's visible on camera, but yes, when I pull it closer, you can see that there's a thread. Yeah, now I'm going to do the other arm and then we're gonna start sewing. This is completely done, so I'm gonna create those gathers. This thing is supposed to be the length of this, so I'm gonna put this right here and I'm gonna start pulling. I'm just gonna gauge when it's the same length as this. Just a little bit more, and I think we're at the right length now, so I'm gonna tie this, basically securing the length. Okay, we're still at the length, so now I'm just gonna distribute the gathers so that they're the same. It's well distributed. I'm just gonna pin this together and we're gonna sew through it. So I did the same with the second sleeve. This is sleeve number 2. So I'm just gonna sew through it and then we're gonna finish up the sleeve and put on those bows that we sewed earlier on. Alright, I'm done sewing this part. As you can see, I don't have an overlock, so we zigzagged this. So now the issue is, look at this first. It's finished. The sleeve is finished. Obviously it does not look straight yet because I have not ironed it, but now we have an issue of this fabric, this thread that we sewed in to create the gathers. We need to take it out, so I'm gonna try to remove it. I'm just gonna hold on to this and pull out and see if there's any remnants of it that's left. There still is, so I'm just gonna try to remove that. I was not supposed to have done the zigzag over it. It would have been so much easier, but yes, it's gone. So this is what it looks like after I have ironed it. It looks a little bit straight. And then the second one also, I think I showed you a little bit of what it looks like. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put this part together, attach it and sew it, and I'll be done with the sleeve. All that's be left will be to attach it to the dress. And into the machine it goes. Alright, it is done. The whole sleeve is done. By the way, hi. You have not seen my face in a while. Alright, this is both the 2 sleeves, and this is what it would look like. Oh, this is actually very funny. Why do I look like Cinderella right now? You know, Cinderella before the transformation. But this is like the blue dress, guys. I feel like the blue dress is literally gonna definitely give a Cinderella feel. So now the goal is to put this bows right here, because I'm in my bow era. You can end with it like this, but I'm in this toxic bow era, and I'm gonna show you how I tie my bows. So you can tie it however. I don't know how to tie the bow, to be honest, so I'm just gonna wing it, and I'm hoping that somehow you will catch on what I'm doing, because I don't know how to explain it. Oh, I have this urge to just put this down. And I'm just gonna cut this thing later, but yeah, now we have a bow. So I'm going to sew this here on my sleeve. This is like the sewing that has happened inside this thing, and on the outside is the bow. Same with this other one. A whole lot different. I am so happy. Oh. Now it's time to attach the dress with the sleeve. Okay, as you can see, this is the shoulder part of the dress and this is the armpit part of the dress. So the most important thing is to make sure that this thing is inside out. See? Inside out. And then the dress is also inside out. I've made a mistake like this so many times when I was learning to make sleeves. Sometimes one part will still be normal and then the other part will be inside out, and the dress is inside out. It's just that it has a lining, so the lining is like, you know, it's a double layer fabric. It's chiffon, so it needs to have a lining. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna attach the armpit of the dress with the armpit of the sleeve. Now that we've gone with the armpit, we're just gonna keep attaching. If it's too big, we can just pull it in like this, because remember we have this thing where we can pull to reduce the size or do this to increase the size. So that's usually what I do. It's always a trial and error for me. I think we've got the size now, so we're just gonna continue putting more. Literally attached the entire sleeve. I hope you can see. And now I'm gonna attach the other side and we can start sewing. Alright, the overlock is done. By the way, I overlock without an overlock machine, and if you want to know a little bit more about that, let me know.